Welcome, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. It's the beginning of a new year, and I've had a couple of shows on people that have gone through transformations from a health and wellness standpoint. And I thought that I would turn to someone who I think has gone through some challenges in work, in life, and really is out there making a mark on society. And a woman of color that has done it. And not because all of us are women of color, but all of us have got challenges, whatever they might be. And so I think that we could learn a lot of lessons from Kim Singh, who's my guest tonight, who's going to tell us a little bit about some of the obstacles she's faced, some of the challenges she's faced, and how she got through them, not over them, but through them, and has been the success that she is today. Because I think it is an inspirational story, and one that we can all learn from and use as an inspiration and an example for what we can do in 2024. Kim is a relentlessly focused, visionary global executive and independent mom, coach, mentor, speaker, master of ceremonies, women's empowerment, diversity, equity, inclusion, and mental health advocate and global peace ambassador. From a third world country of poverty to a visionary executive with over 25 years of experience in the informational technology interest, she is relentless and a focused global thought leader. Kim, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Ryan. Pleasure.
So you practice and advocate for what you call PEI, positivity, excellence, and impact. You personalize your relationships by fostering authentic conversations and building connections by actively listening with an eye on evolving competitive landscapes. Wow. How'd you get to this situation? And you say that you got to this situation from a very challenging situation, being a woman of color from a third world country. Tell me about this journey, if you could.
So it all started, 30 years I came to Canada. And when you looked at Canada from a third world country, it is the place you want to be. It's beautiful. It's flawless. There's lights, there's snow, it's everything that you dream of. And then when you get here, reality hits in. Every office job that I applied for was denied because I had no Canadian experience. So I had to figure out quickly, as a new bride in an unknown country without any family other than my ex's relatives, what I want to do when I grow up, and how do I grow up, or do I go back home? And then you have the culture stigma that's going to be stabbed onto you. So I quickly realized I need to figure out what is it I want to do and how I do it. So start, hitting on every door that I possibly can for a job, and I couldn't get an office job. So I started loading trucks at night and making candles during the day. And while trying
hold it. You started loading trucks?
Yep.
And building candles?
During the day, yes.
Okay, go on.
And put myself through school. Every opportunity that I could get financially to put myself through school, I did that. And I started moving along, from clerical job to receptionist to office manager. And I started climbing gradually. But every step that I take, it was a hurdle. You weren't good enough. I didn't look like the normal crowd. I didn't speak like the normal crowd. I have an accent. 30 years ago, you have a more defined accent. So the struggle was brutal. It was real. And then I started getting into executive roles. And that's when reality started to really, really step in. You look at yourself and you ask, I have all these accolades. Why can I not move up? I remember once I was about to enter my boss's office to talk about promotion. And just before I entered, there was a young woman in the room, and he said to her, we're not going to give Kim this opportunity. We're going to give it to you because she doesn't look like us.
Because she doesn't look like us.
Yeah. And when she walked out, I walked into the office. I said, I'm canceling the meeting because I don't look like you. And I walked out. That didn't stop me, my resiliency to continue. I resigned from that company a month or so after because I didn't fit in. I didn't belong. I feel organization today hire BIPOC women to fit the KPIs and the mandates that they're asked to. So you get in there, you get a seat, but you're not allowed to speak. They won't look at you or ask you your questions. My awakening or my aha moment was when I was once told by an executive, you're not palatable enough to visit a client.
You're not what?
Palatable enough to visit a client. That was my aha moment. So I had a company with me with a tall, blonde women, you know, no offense to her, she had no clue what she's going into. Why is she going with me other than because visually she's eye pleasing? When we get to our client, he's an Indian man. And his first question was, why is she here? The meeting is with you. But as a woman who believe in empowering each other and uplifting women, I said to him, she's shadowing with me. She wants to become an executive, and this is her opportunity to shadow. So I started including her in questions and having her at the dinner table where I was sitting with him, his wife, and children, and she didn't fit in. First time in my life, I was in a situation where a woman of privilege didn't fit into my work. That was my aha moment. On my flight back, I went to the back of the plane. I sat there and I cried for hours. And I said, no one ever is going to make me feel the way I felt for the past how many years. That was my awakening. That's when I started going on the bandwagon of standing up for women. If I'm there, I'm going to bring 10 with me. When I get into that room, I own it. It is my place. And in order for you to disrupt me, you need my permission.
But it sounds like it wasn't a gender issue. It was a racial issue.
It was a racial issue, yeah.
Is Canada racist?
We all have biases, and they come to play in power. You know, everyone say, no, I don't. I don't have bias. No, it's not me. It's the other person. We all do, right? And when it's time for corporate to promote and to identify and to accept, it is a huge challenge for them, right? They look at you as a number, okay? There's some organization, don't get me wrong, there's some organization want to empower, want to have minority there, want to have the underrepresented, but there are far few.
So how have you dealt with that? Have you been able to persuade companies to change, or have you just gone to the companies that have already changed, or have you embarked out on your own?
I have done a bit of both. The organizations that I go into now, I want to make sure there is a culture. 80% of a company's wealth is culture. So I want to make sure there is some form of culture there. D&I is a big part of who I am. I want to make sure no woman of color go through what I did. I'm currently mentoring 18 people globally. And that's 18 women of color that I'm changing lives with. I want them to understand when they come to Canada or when they go into the corporate world, these are the things to look out for. You know, don't go in with blinders on. Organizations, some are willing to change. My last company that was with, I headed D&I mental health. We made huge stride, but then you get to a certain point where that's it. We can't go further.
Sounds like you've faced some challenges, but you've overcome them, and that's inspiring. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back in just 2 minutes with Kim Singh. We're going to talk about being a woman of color in a North American marketplace that may not be as accepting as Kim thinks, and I think they should be. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're sort of setting the scene for 2024 as we embark on a new year about how to deal with challenges. And you know, I've done some shows on health challenges and work challenges, and today we're going to be talking about sort of environmental challenges from I guess a race, religion, a sex standpoint. Our guest is Kim Singh, who's been challenged being a woman of color in a marketplace that may not be as accepting as it should be. Her journey has not been an easy one, from loading trucks at night, making candles during the day, going back to school while being a very brand new bride in North America. And today she is the mother, an independent mom of 2 children, the CEO and founder of a company by the name of SCABA and Management Inc., a member of various boards globally. And she says she brings her expertise in strategic planning through leadership, allyship, anti-bullying, mentoring, and coaching. She told us that she's mentoring right now 18 mentees worldwide. She's very involved in her community in ESG and DEI efforts, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And she's been recognized for her contributions as a global peace ambassador and an advocate of women's empowerment. Wow. How have you accomplished all this?
When you wake up and you realize the person you were trying to be to fit in, it's no longer you. You start owning your last name. You start owning being a woman of color. You start owning your roots and your values and everything else that you were taught and grown and make you who you are to be humble. You start finding time. Like everyone asks me, you're a single mom of two. How do you find time? I sleep. I always say to people, you sleep when you're dead, right? That's the time you find to sleep. I go to bed at midnight. I wake up at 5. That has been my cycle. I find time to be creative for myself. I do a lot of self-investment. I pride myself to be a great mom, and I give back in society. I sit on boards. I help them with strategy. I mentor. I want to see people become the next leader, not just for society, but for themselves. You have a voice. You need to use it. It's plain and simple. Don't stifle it. You're empowered to use it. It's your voice.
So it's interesting. You said that initially you tried to fit in, and you no longer try to fit in.
No, I own my seat. So I do a mindset shift when I get into a room. When I'm about to go into a room, I tell myself, I belong there. That seat is mine. I earn it. There's no one in that room that's better than me because I'm unique. I'm only me. And again, in order for you to disrupt my presence in that room, you'll need my permission. So it's a whole thought process I go through if I get there. The same thing I do when I go on stage and have emceeing or have a fireside chat. I own that space. It's now me. It's who I am. It's my identity that matters. It's not what I want to be or what I was trying to be.
And you say that initially you were trying to fit in, you were trying to be something different. Was that because you thought that's what you needed to do, or you were being told that, or what?
It's a combination of both. When you're told your last name should be changed and you're not good enough or you don't look like us, you want to fit in. So you try to dress, to speak, to go to events where people go where you're not even accepted, and you try your best, but you still feel like the foster kid, or you still feel like the third wheel. When you wake up and you realize, listen, I am who I am. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to own this. Mind shift, you change. The narrative change. I now own that room.
So some company actually told you that you should change your name from Singh to something else.
Yeah, because it's going to be more acceptable. Organizations like to see Canadian or North American names next to the executive.
Really? That's shocking. And what, they told you to color your hair or to dumb down your looks or what?
I think it's to drop the accent. The accent was very visible. When you come from, the Caribbean, you have those lingos, you have those slangs, it's there, right? So every so often you're told that, you have to try to figure out how to dial back your accent, how to speak like an executive of North America instead of speak like an executive that has an accent. So you had to, you're code shifting so many times, Brian, you don't recognize you, right? You're at the stage where, am I saying the sentence right? Even though you know you are, you're second guessing everything that you do, everything that you say. You reread an email like 100 times before you hit send.
Sorry, what's code shifting?
Code shifting is trying to be what you're not. You want it to be, a Barbie, for example, but you don't look and sound like one. So you're going to pretend to look and sound like one. You're going to start dressing like that Barbie. You're going to start making approaches like that Barbie. You're going to start trying to figure out, how do I be that person? When totally you're opposite.
You wanted to be a Barbie?
No, I'm just giving you an example of what code shifting is.
Okay. And you said this is something that companies told you or managers told you. It's not something that you just sort of thought you needed to do. It's actually something that people said you needed to do?
Yes, it was told to me several times. In order for you to climb the corporate ladder, you need to start to make some culture adjustments. right? You need to start one, dropping your accent, and seriously dropping your last name. Figure out how you're going to do that, because it's hindering you. And you see it from actions. You go into a room, Brian, and you're the only brown girl. And you're sitting at the back of the room and no one asks you why you're there, or a question or anything. Right? You're drifted off in behind, and you have asked that same questions, or you've given that same answer, and no one pays attention. And then someone else who doesn't look like me and sound like me would say the same thing. And everyone would say, oh my God, that's a great job. You've done amazing. And I said that like 5 minutes ago or 2 minutes ago.
Really? You think that because of your sex and because of the color of your skin, we're not listening to you? And if you were a blonde or a male, we would listen to you.
It's perception of the people in the office. If people with different mindset are willing to listen and learn, they will make that adjustment to have you fit in. Today, I don't care who you are. I'm sitting at the head of the table. I'm sitting close to the head of the table. I'm making sure my voice is heard.
So you've got this sort of double challenge you described of being both a female as well as a person of color. How do you deal with that?
Once you own yourself, everything changes. I'm a woman, so that's a struggle as it is in the corporate world. Worse, I'm a woman of color. So I don't see color. When I get into a room, I go in there because I know what I'm capable of doing, what I was hired to do, the conversation that's going to be had. And you're going to listen to me because that's why I'm there. Nothing else, nothing more. So you have to make sure you own that room, you own that space. Yeah, navigating it's hard. Sexism is really, really hard. We got to speak up. We can't wait until you shouldn't wait until 30 years like me to have a conversation with you, right? You should be able to talk about it then. But 30 years ago, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a coach. I don't know what those things are. I had no one to lean on other than reading books and try to figure out. You're a young bride and you become a mother. The challenges in life was okay. You accept it. But when you start not feeling as if you belong there, it becomes a struggle. It becomes a real struggle, and you got to really wake up fast and identify what the issue and challenges are and own your voice. Feel empowered to use it, right? There is still glass ceilings. People say there's sticky floors, but it's not. It's glass ceilings. We got to figure out how we break it.
So you think there is still a glass ceiling?
Of course there is. You know, and that's where biases comes in and say, no, there isn't. There is glass ceiling.
That's interesting. Because a lot of people, I think that there is no longer a glass ceiling, that females can accomplish, anything they want, whether it be in the business world or any other part of society. And, whether it's the lean in movement or any other, efforts that females in general have found their voice and can be just as successful as anyone else. And you take a look at the statistics, the majority of university students are female, the majority of law students are female. You go through, category by category. Frankly, men are the ones that may not be performing as well as they could and should be right now. No?
I think society has come a long way. We've learned to accept, we learned to embrace, and we realized as women of color, as BIPOC women, we have an obligation to ourselves to pedal forward, regardless of what society may think or do. We've come a long way. We've been accepted. We just gotta continue on that road. We have to continue embracing the challenges. We have to continue to look at ourselves every day and say, I'm going to be the best version of me. I am unstoppable. I'm limitless, right? Everything that I was made of is limitless, and I have to choose to be unstoppable. And that's a mindset shift.
And is that the attitude that you convey to your mentees in your mentor-mentee relationship?
Yes. The first thing I'd say to them, what is your current mindset? Where do you want to go with that current mindset? And I started doing mindset shift for them. You got to start change your mindset. It is so powerful. Our mindset is so powerful, right? It's a condition, and only you can change it. Only you can allow people to disrupt it once you condition it to take action. Like, for example, International Women's Day. Why do we need one day? Right? Why do we need a day to call out to say it's an international? Women should be celebrated every day. So as men, we should all be celebrating every day. So those are the little things that I speak about. We have to be able to embrace each other equally.
Well, there's no question we have to be able to embrace each other. And I guess I thought that we were, but you're saying that we still got a long way to go.
We do. We still have a long way to go. There's some allyship that I have, or allies that I work with. Great men, awesome sponsors. And then there's some who say they are allies, but they're not sponsors. They just want to be seen as someone who is helping, but they're not. For BIPOC women to succeed in corporation, you need sponsors. You need people to take a risk and say, I am going to gamble on Kim, because these are the things that I know she can do, and she can come in and make a difference. Not a lot are willing to do that behind closed door.
So I'm not familiar with the term that you just used. What's that?
BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, people of color.
BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color. And you're saying that that's a big challenge today. So that's racism.
It is. And for you to move up, you need sponsors. Like, look at on most of the big organizations, the C-suites, or the ELT teams are all male. For you to get there, it's a long journey. If you get a sponsor, if you're an ally, Brian, and you're sitting in one of those executive meetings and you're a C-suite and you want to help a BIPOC woman, you're going to take a risk on your career with your coworkers to say, I'm willing to take him on. I'm going to sponsor her through her career. Who's going to support me?
You said there's a difference between allyship and support. What's the difference?
When you're an ally, it's not a today's job. It's not a tomorrow's job. It's a job for life. And it's a job that you have to take very seriously. It becomes part of your DNA. So you have to be able to represent the underrepresented. You have to show up and show up authentically. Support is just showing up at a crowd and cheer me on. You know, I'm running this race. Okay, hey, Kim, good job. Here's a bottle of water. But when you're an ally, you're joining with me. You're receiving me. You're starting that race with me. You're on that journey with me. You understand the blisters of the shoes that I'm wearing. And if you haven't worn that shoe, you're still able to relate because you want to make change. You want to use your privilege to make change. Or you want to be in an environment where you're making changes. You're supporting it.
So it sounds like your number one lesson is mindset. That you and your mentees and people that you are speaking to, you're saying you got to have this mindset shift.
Yep.
But then number two is you got to have an environment where there are people that really move away from just support or nice words, but actually move to allyship. And so it's a change in the environment as well. Is that a good summary?
It is. You know, when you looked at our minds, right, it's so fragile, yet it's so powerful. Our thoughts are the vocabulary of the brain, right? We operate from a place of authenticity, respect, and confidence. That is in us. But if we don't condition the mind in a positive way, if you don't wake up in the morning and be grateful to be alive, your thought processes changes for the entire day. If you don't wake up and be grateful for yet another day, your thought process get diluted. But when you wake up and you start positioning your mind with different vocabulary, your day, nothing can stop you for that day. You've already set precedent of how you're going to excel in that day. What are the things you're going to do to make today better than yesterday? So your mindset is what you need. Then you need the people to support you on the side and help you navigate the difficult roads that you want to go on.
Well, as you say, I think vocabulary is critically important, and the phrase that I really like that I think describes the situation best for me is a line that's been repeated often, but really is, I think, impactful, which is diversity is a fact, inclusion is a choice. And I think in Canada, we have a diverse population, diverse workforce. There's just no question. But at times we don't have an inclusive workforce and an inclusive population. And it really is a choice that we want to use our diversity to have a more valuable workforce, a more valuable population, a more enjoyable one, a more broad one, a more benefiting one to all of us, whether it's because we get to eat better food or more variety food or have greater ideas at the boardroom table or have more interesting people to have as workmates and as friends. And so I think that diversity is a fact, but belonging, inclusion is a choice, and belonging is what comes from ensuring that people feel included. Anyway, we got to take a break for some messages, and we'll be back in just 2 minutes with Kim Singh talking about how she got over these issues these challenges that she had being a single mom, being female, being of color, having an accent, not having Canadian experience, and seems like she's overcome them all. And she's got to the top of the mountain. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're talking about mindset. We're talking about overcoming challenges, particularly ones that are racial or color oriented and gender oriented. Our guest is Kim Singh. Kim is a relentlessly focused, visionary global executive. She's an independent mom, a coach, a mentor, a speaker, an MC, a women's empowerment, a DEI&B and mental health advocate, and a global peace ambassador. She has come from a third world country, 25 years of experience in the information technology industry now. She was a young bride when she came to Canada, didn't have Canadian experience. She says she loaded trucks in the evening and made candles during the day, and is now an executive, a consultant, a mentor, and a global peace ambassador. Kim, how did this journey of yours becoming more involved in DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and mental health and mentoring, and now as a peace ambassador, how did this journey start?
It's a lot to unpack, but I'm going to try to summarize it as best as I can. When I finally realized that I have to own my roots and my value, my journey started. More so pre-COVID, I started to contemplate with my life, what am I giving back to society? What am I doing to enrich other lives? And I was mentoring just a couple of people here and there. Then we got hit with COVID, and my life changed. I've lost friends, I've lost family. I wasn't able to say goodbye to their funeral. As you know, it was a chaotic time. You weren't able to leave your house. My daughter was living in Florida. I was living here with my son. My life became the walls and my son. Unless, when there was the travel lifted, I would go visit my daughter. And I realized then I can do so much with all the time that I have. So I would tap on my neighbors who wanted coffee, and I would do coffee run. Their grocery runs I would do with the old people that lives around my neighborhood. And I started realizing as I'm talking to people, they're going downwards mentally. People are depressed, they're confused, they're sad, they're unhappy. Every frame of vocabulary you can think of was going through that change. And I started reflecting back when I did my mental health study many, many years ago. It's coming into play now, able to help people, talk them through some of their difficult times. And I realized as I was doing them, I'm mentoring, I'm coaching, and I'm standing up for mental health at the same time. And that for me was the journey of enriching lives. And I realized I have a gift. People are listening to me, and I'm good at it. And it's easy. So I started taking on people to mentor them, and I do it at a zero cost. I coach people at a zero cost. I MC at a zero cost. I go to community events and I stand up with representation. None of it has a dollar tax, because I get pleasure out of it. There's that fulfillment. I watch my son listen to when I'm mentoring people and he asks questions. He's listening, he's understanding what I'm saying. That's why he's asking questions. When he writes about his role model, he writes about his mom. So it's all these little things that starting to add on so that my journey, my sacrifices, my pain is no longer relevant. That's in the past. I love it. I embrace it. It's who I am. So the journey of becoming a better person to society, make better leaders, make changes, become a peace ambassador, spread peace around the world, show people that there is love and there is unity. Look around us. Everyone is fighting, right? We can stop it by being strong and peaceful and spread love. We don't need to fight for land and wealth and all that stuff. When you introduce yourself, I want to know what's your name and how you're doing. I don't want to know you're Brian and I'm a CEO of X company. I just want to know the humble, authentic, genuine you.
This global peace ambassador that you've been honored with, who grants that, and what's the role?
It's from Toronto Peace Ambassador Peace International Festival. It was honored by the CEO of that organization, myself and a few others. The goal is for us to reach out to organization and spread the world of peace. Be on a platform where you can support, you can live authentic life, show people there's more to hate than there's more to life than hate. There's more to life than wealth. You know, show up and show up authentic. Find love. There is so much around. You don't have to pay for it.
You mentioned that you did some mental health courses. We haven't talked about that. Tell me what that effort has been about.
I wanted to make a difference, but I want to make a difference knowing how to make a difference. So by taking some of those first aider courses, I learned the do's and the don'ts, the things that you got to say. And when you notice that someone is at the edge, what are the trigger buttons for you? Who should you pull in? Who are the people you should be calling instead of trying to resolve it yourself? So the courses helped me navigate it professionally to help people to say, oh my God, Ryan, there's a number here you can call. There's someone you could talk. Let's go for a coffee. Don't think about things this way. So it teaches you the right way to address a situation or a concern within your limitation. And then you can, direct them where to go. There are helplines, but a lot of people don't want to talk about helplines. The stigma, they just want to sit across you and have a coffee, right? They just want to sit across you and just pour all their stuff on you. And that's okay. When you sign up to be a mental health first aider, that's your responsibility.
Many people that I've spoken to that have gone through the transformation comparable to what you've described have had a mentor or an inspiration or a book or something that helped them through it. What's been your inspiration or is there an inspirational person that has helped you through this process?
So at the beginning, it was all me. I am my inspiration. I have to live with me. I've come a long way, and I know I'm only just getting started. I love challenges. It makes me feel interesting, and having that ability to overcome it is what inspired me. It all starts in believing in myself. It's self-love, self-care, self-respect, self-worth. And because all those words starts with self, I become my own inspiration. Every single morning when I wake up, I reflect back of the things that I did yesterday and how many of those was done well and could have done better. And the ones that I didn't get to do, why? I reflect on myself a lot of the things that I've done and I've done well, I didn't do well, and how I'm going to make my today better. I've had a few mentors, I still do. I'm super vocal. I'm extremely strong. And these are attributes that I had to learn and own into as I get older. I'm very confident. I got mentors who are male leaders. I also have a female mentor, and I have a couple of ministers that are my sponsors. But I get people that look at me and say, "This is how I'm going to stretch you, because you have potential and you're limiting it." So my mentors today are the ones that stretch me, the ones that advise me or encourage me to take risks, go after bigger dreams, go after different things. And it helps you, right? You believe in yourself, you're capable, but you just need someone now to help stretch that rubber band a little.
I agree. You need that. But it's interesting because you talk about self-love, knowledge, self-respect, a lot of these things that you do to try to understand yourself and then to become a better, different person. But if we always had that, we would never have had the problem. And so there was something that took you from a situation you were in where you didn't have those attributes to a situation where you either had or started to have and then grew those attributes. What caused that change? Was it that time sitting in the back of the plane, or was it, one of these ministers that you spoke about, or pastors? Like, what was it that took you from a world of not self-love to a world of self-love, self-respect, self-inspection, etc.?
So 11 years ago, I got divorced. Prior 21 years of my stay in Canada, I was married. I got married at a very, very young age. And all I knew at that time was my children's father and their family. So that was my world. When I got divorced, I decided I'm going to recreate me. I'm going to recreate this inner child that I know that's there, that has potential to become something other than a wife, other than, an in-law, or other than a mother. So I recreate myself. I spent a lot of time investing in me. Out of marriages, people end up in other relationships, and which is good and it's bad at the same time. But kudos to whoever did whatever they do. My job was to invest in me, understand how I'm going to move forward with 2 children, and how I'm going to move forward authentically. I'm going to bring back my roots and my values into who I am. Today I have 2 great children, not ones that I ever had challenges with them. And I'm proud to say one is 26 and a half and one is 16 and a half. Never once had an issue. Right? It's because I recreate me. I remember growing up and their values. They were love. We were poor, but we still had respect. And I foster that and I bring that into my life as a single mom, and I continue with it. So that was my shift and my change. And I looked at myself and said, I am going to be stronger than I was when I was married. I'm going to be smarter. It's not that I wasn't, but I'm now going to be better than that person, because I'm playing the role of a mom and a dad with both of my kids in my house. It was a challenging time for me, so I had to shift very fast to be better. So all those self-love, self-respect, self-investment, self-rating, self-stuff was all done with the intention of being a better person. Not to compare my previous life to my current life, but to be a better human being.
Fascinating. So it was the divorce was sort of the catalyst to force you to change. But that's the negative. That was the negative catalyst. Was there a positive catalyst? Was it looking in the mirror and saying that you needed to be this different, stronger person for your kids? Or what if the divorce was the negative portion of that? What was the positive? What took you out?
For me, it's I want to be the best mom in the world. I want to be
the best mom in the world.
Yeah, I wanted my kids to put on the tomb that she was freaking awesome. All right, it's your first job that you get when you become a mom. Those kids weren't asked to be born, so you want to be the best at it. So that was my goal. I didn't want it to be my kid's best friend. I want to be the mom that they can come to. That's my role, and I've spent a lot of time making sure that role never get tainted.
We're chatting with Kim Singh about change, about transformation, about mindset, about being a female of color in Canada and still being a success. And it sounds like she's achieved it. We're going to take a break and come back with some concluding comments from Kim Singh in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I'm having a really interesting conversation tonight with Kim Singh, who's really gone through a transformation over the course of, I guess, the last 11 or more years. She's described her life where she came as a young bride to Canada from a third world country in poverty, was for a while just not just because that's wrong. I apologize for saying that, but was primarily a mom. She worked loading trucks at night and making candles during the day. And then she went through a divorce 11 years ago and decided that she wanted to be the best mom in the world. And it would appear through that process has really transformed her voice, her life, her career path, her authentic self, or at least she's come into her authentic self. Really, Kim, it's a inspirational and interesting story. You said you wanted to leave us with 2 messages and a call to action. What do you want to leave us with?
So start with a message. So I had, and I still do have the utmost respect and admiration for Steve Jobs. I was very, very fortunate to meet him once, not knowing that that was him. And, our conversation was very short, but it was mind blowing. And I read every book, everything about Steve Jobs that you could possibly think of. And as he was dying, he put together of some of the things that he wished he had knew prior to getting all caught up in the glitz and glamour of life. And one of the messages that still stick with me every single time I think about, authenticity versus material things. And one of the things that he said was a $300 watch and a $30 watch tells the same time. Be kind, be respectful, and remember your place and where you came from. My call to action is, and this is for leaders that's listening out there, take a gamble. Take a gamble on BIPOC people. DE&I, it's not going to go away. Diversity is not a phase, it's not a phrase. In order for people to BIPOC to move up, we need sponsorship. We need people to support us. We have this wealth of knowledge that we're coming with. Give us a chance. We together can move the needle. We belong together. It's not going to change. And by doing collaboration together and sponsoring us and taking that risk, we can make a change together.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that we should give you a chance, but more importantly than that, we're better off. And maybe that's not more important, but it's equally important. I do think that if you want to sell goods, if you want to trade with different countries, if you want to create newer, better ideas, more innovative ideas, if you want to have creativity, if you want to have collaboration, why would we not want to include people that are a little bit different than us in that decision-making process? Because that's going to give us exposure to people of color, to Indigenous people, to females, to people from around the world. 57% of Mississauga has been in Canada for less than 10 years. We are an extremely diverse country, an extremely diverse city in the Greater Toronto Area. And it's not people that look like me or just like me that are the buyers. It's people that look like you that are primarily the buyers today. And so if we want to come up with goods that are going to be of interest to you and marketing campaigns that are going to be impactful on you, why would we just talk to people that look like me to come up with those ideas? And so it's just plain smart. There's been a lot of studies done that show that if you want to just implement something, you got something, you want to implement it. Sometimes people that are what they call bonding, have bonding relationships that are very close, very similar, are actually very effective. But if you actually have a challenge in life, if you're impacted by changes and you need innovation, you need collaboration, you need creativity, you need new ideas, you're better off if you have bridging relationships, people that are different from you, people that look different, act different, different religions, different races, different cultures, different sexes, and then you have the clash of different ideas, and that's where you get creativity and collaboration. And if there's anything that we know, it's that we're impacted constantly by change and different impacts. And creativity and collaboration are the only way that we can possibly manage those, get through those, and be successful after the fact. So I agree with you, Kim. But I also think that your attitude about mindset and being authentic and being confident are wonderful. And so I really appreciate you talking about how you decided you wanted to be the best mom, and the best mom had to be authentic, had to be confident, had to have a shift in mindset. And I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
That's our show for tonight. Thank you all for joining us. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online from anywhere around the world at www.saga960am.ca. All my podcasts and videocasts are available on my website, briancrombie.com. As we start this new year, let's think about some of these challenges. And Kim's were probably bigger than any that I've ever faced, but think about these challenges that we all face and how we can get through them. And some of that self-inspection, investigation that Kim talked about, and then that self-confidence, and being authentic and finding our voice are the ways that we're going to get through it. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Kim.
Mm-hmm.